Craig Harrison, it all began for you at TNS on January the 2nd, 2012. But before we come to that, let's go back in time. How did someone playing for Middlesbrough, Crystal Palace, in the English system, end up in the Daffabet Welsh Premier League?
Well, obviously I started helping out at Airbus. My wife, she's a Chester girl, so we decided to move to Chester at the time. I'd been finished, retired playing football in 2002, and she couldn't settle in the northeast, so I was quite happy. I'd lived away from home all my life, and so we decided to come to Chester, and we did. And it was just coincidental, really. It was a chance meeting. Danielle, my other half, she's organised a surprise 30th birthday for me, and Gareth Owen and Chris Williams, also known as Bungle, was come to play at it. She found some live performers and they come and played, and I got talking to Gareth, and from there just sort of, at the time Alan Bickerstaff had just left Airbus as his assistant. Gareth was player manager, and then Gareth asked me if I wanted to go along. A couple of months, I thought it was just one of them things that, you had a couple of beers, he's been polite, we're chatting and so on and so forth, and then we 2-3 months went down the line, and he was still looking for someone. Went and had a chat with him, offered me a job, took the job, and then fast forward 6 months from that, Gareth left to go and play for Rill. Rill were the real force at the time, and they had a lot of good players and won the league that year, and Gareth got Player of the Year, and I just naturally took over. The club asked me if I wanted to be the manager, and from then on I was manager at Airbus for I think it was two and a bit years, and it was that's where it all started, the managerial. It's certainly not something that I'd decided I wanted to do when I first come out of football, to be honest. It was the last thing I'd wanted to do. Probably took us 2 years just over to watch a game of football again. It was obviously a tough time I went through, and fortunately for the support of my parents and the people close by, is that my sister, and that I got through it, and it could have went quite easily the other way, and I could have went and got myself in trouble, and and you see a lot of players now gambling, alcohol, drugs, so on and so forth, but I was fortunate, I had good people around us, and I got through it, and and met Danielle, and now together with a little girl, age 4, and couldn't be any happier than what I am at this moment in time.
That's a great story. But the transition from Airbus to TNS, tell us about that.
Yeah, it was, at Airbus at the time, we'd done really well. For the Airbus wasn't the same Airbus as been for 2 or 3 years previously, with competing at the top end of the league. We had a very limited budget, to the fact that sometimes you'd be picking your starting 11, then it would, whatever budget you had left, it would depend on how many subs you could have. And there was a few times that Andy Thomas, who was a manager there at the time, was my assistant. Chris Duran was my goalkeeper, and a little bit later down the line, Carl come in with us. But sometimes used to put Tom on the bench as a player as well, to save money on the budget side of it, so we could pick our strongest team if everyone was fit. So it was very educational, interesting, learning your trade. I do believe that obviously there's differences between Premier League clubs and then lower down, but it's the same sort of thing. You got to learn to deal with players. You got to learn to deal with players' problems. You got to learn to deal with people. And even more so on a part-time basis, because unfortunately, I think that was probably my biggest struggle the first 6 months, was trying to get in my head and understand that playing football wasn't their main income and wasn't their only thing they had in their life. Because since I'd been 15, I'd been in professional football, or around professional football, when I'd be involved with football, and it was the be all and end all. Obviously these players have got families, have got jobs, we've got other things more important than football. So it was tough the first 6 months. It was a huge transitional period at Airbus, and then but obviously I got the opportunity. Well, after that, Carl left to come to coach TNS, and then Mike Davis left TNS, and I think there was 60 to 80 applicants for the job, and obviously Carl recommended me heavily, because I took Carl from Kevin Druids to Airbus with me, meeting him. Didn't know him beforehand. I met him on a coaching course. I think it was a B licence coaching course. Really enjoyed speaking to him, enjoyed what he had to say about football, enjoyed, and we had similar theories on football, and and obviously I had the experience of playing at a good level, and Carl's a very, very technically good coach, so we got on great straight away. And then obviously Carl come to TNS, then Then I think it was about 18 months later when Mike Davis left. Then I fortunately got offered the job at TNS after meeting Mike Harris 2 or 3 times, and and like I said, probably at the time, bigger names would have come for the job, and people had more experience, higher level of managing than what I did, but Mike chose myself through, for whatever reason, whether it was to working with Carl, whether it was wanted to play good football, whether he could just see the potential and the hunger and the desire I had to do well. But it was definitely the best decision Mike Harris has ever made.
Says Craig Harrison with a big smile on his face. Well, Craig, it was certainly a match made in heaven, and as we said at the beginning of the interview, January the 2nd, 5 years ago, it all kicked off with a 5-0 win against Newtown, and it's been ongoing ever since.
Yeah, it has. You look at it, and I come into the club halfway through the season, and I'm not too sure if we're top of the league or not. I don't think we were, but we got a good result against Newtown, and then I think we played Newport when Newport, Wrexham, Colwyn Bay, and a few other the Welsh teams who are based in England were invited in the Welsh Cup. We played them, we beat them, and then the next game, I think it was the beginning of the split, we played Neath at home and we got beat 2-1, and we went into 3rd place. And you're looking at there, you think, coming to a new job, and they just lost the league the year before to Bangor, and you're thinking, goodness, you've got Neath really strong, you've got Bangor strong again, you've got Llanelli who was strong at the time with Andy Legg, player manager, and you're thinking, this is really tough, but from then on, I think we won every game after that, and we beat Bangor last game of the season at Park Hall 5-0 to win the league back, and that was probably my favourite game of certainly in the top 5 of being TNS manager. After that defeat against Neath, it couldn't have went any better, and it was a great start of the season. It's a great start of my TNS career, winning the championship back, and we won the Welsh Cup in that year as well. So my first year in charge, we won the double, which was very, very nice, and it took a little bit of pressure off early on in a new job.
Well, you mentioned that was one of your favourite games.
Yeah.
We opened it up to questions on the TNS social media, and Mark Jones asks, what game sticks in your mind the most from the last 5 years? So putting you on the spot here, Craig.
Yeah, I think I couldn't, because we've had a lot of success and there's been a lot of good games, I wouldn't say there's one has stuck out above anybody else really to stand alone. I would say that result against Bangor, beating Bangor here 5-0, there was a huge crowd of 2,000 plus here. It was fantastic. There was 400 Bangor supporters locked outside. They couldn't get in. They were all up on the bank, up on the trees, climbing the trees, and to win 5-0, because obviously the year before we went to last game of the season, and Bangor had won 1-0 up at Farrow Road. So it was a fantastic, and it was my first trophy as TNS manager. So that is certainly a one where I'd go towards also as well, possibly the first Champions League win away in Faroe Islands, against Tórshavn. That was up there with it, and also as well, possibly as a favourite in a weird type of way, was going away in beating Videoton in 90 minutes, but obviously getting beaten extra time, so obviously we got knocked out, but to beat them away from home 1-0 was a fantastic achievement. And also as well, I'd say the Applewell game at home, and also as well, I think any victory in the Champions League, to beat Treppenny at home and away as well, that was fantastic. But I think it's amongst them that's in the other one, it was possibly the Welsh Cup final against Aberystwyth, 2-0 down at half time, and we went and won 3-2. Michael Wilde and Greg Draper scored in the last 10 minutes to win the game 3-2. So there's a mixture of the European and domestic there. But certainly, the Bangor one was the first taste of real success we had, and I think it meant. I wouldn't say it meant any more because I want to win every game, but I think just on a personal note, it was my first trophy, and it was almost like the monkey off the back of, right, let's go and kick on now, and let's go and see how many trophies we can win. And 5 years later, I think it's 12 trophies in 5 years. So it's certainly a great starting place, and it couldn't have went any better really.
Well, that was my next question, Craig. You must have several mantelpieces at home to hold all the silverware that you've collected personally, medals, trophies, and so on and so forth. But the Champions League, you've already referred to the games at the Faroe Islands and Videoton in Hungary. How much of a challenge is that for you personally?
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I think the one in the Faroe Islands was the first time TNS had ever won away from home in the Champions League, which is always nice and always special to be involved with that. And they're a huge challenge. It's now that we're getting in the first round. In the last 2 years we've qualified. It's a month almost, as long as you win your game, of preparing for Champions League. It's amazing. Whereas previously, if we're getting knocked out, getting in the second round, it'd be 2 weeks. But now hopefully it's a month of preparing for Champions League football. The detail you go into, the time you spend, the match analysis you look at, finding out about the different clubs and and the different players, and going to watch the different players, and and myself, Scott, Carl, Steve Evans, going through it with a fine tooth comb about can we get that marginal gain of anything, and it is great, and that's what we're just looking for. Can we get through the next one? And then you've got another month, because obviously if you don't get through the next one, you go into Europa League playoff stages. So that's the next step, is to get 2 months of Champions League football almost when the domestic season starts. You're still there or thereabouts. So it is the aim, and I think the Shamrock Rovers 5 years ago and Dundalk this year gives inspiration for any team that isn't in the top level and the higher seeds of the European football. Then you can get yourself in them Champions League group stages. Then the sky's the limit from there.
And a name that you will be familiar with, Farley, but not Jacob, Tracy, his mom.
Yeah.
And she asks the question, what has been your best moment in the last 5 years? So not necessarily a game or a cup competition or a winning streak, but your best moment.
I do possibly, if I was pushed to one moment, it'd probably be lifting that Welsh Premier League title for the first time against Bangor City. I think that was because it was where it all begun, if you like. The beginning of winning trophies, and secondly beating Tórshavn away, being the first time to win a Champions League game home or away, because we're drawn away against them first, because I'd never won a game previously before that. We drew a couple of games, but I think them two were the two standout moments, and possibly third would be the Welsh Cup final, beating Aberystwyth after being 2-0 down.
Another name you will be familiar with, Claire Harrison. Yeah. What do you miss most about the North East?
Yeah, it's obviously my parents and sister, family, but apart from that, I don't. I've been away. I lived in London for 3-4 years, and I've been in Chester now for 10 years. So to be honest, I don't. It's nice going back up there to see family and friends, but apart from that, I'm my home is in Chester at this moment in time with Danielle and Ruby, and and like I said earlier, I couldn't be happy. I've got a fantastic partner and a beautiful little girl, and it's everything's fantastic at this moment in time.
And back to the present, of course, people may be listening to this at some point in the future, so things may have changed. But as we sit here right now, Craig, in your office, in the basement at Park Hall, TNS is on an incredible streak of 26 consecutive wins so far this season.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I still think it hasn't really sunk in, really, because it's just went and went. We've had game after game after game. There's been midweek games. There's been Welsh Cup, there's been League Cup, there's been Irn-Bru Cup, so it's just all been a snowball effect. And I think Carl done an article not so long ago as well, saying the same sort of thing. I don't think we'll all realise the enormity of it until, if we do it, break the record, and then we're maybe sitting in years to come thinking, wow, that was us, that was I was the manager of that team, and the players were involved with that, and the chairman and everyone associated with the club was driving that club and a part of that club at that moment in time. So at this moment in time, it's, I think also as well, because we're still halfway through the season, there's nothing's been won yet. It's always nice to get a record and so on and so forth, but I think when we'll probably enjoy it if we do, even equaling it. It's a huge achievement. It's something that everyone should be proud of. But let's hope we break it, and if we do, then I think when the trophies are given out, and we possibly look to defend that Welsh Premier League, and if we do win the league again, I think then we'll probably have a little bit of time to reflect and say, right, well, our main job's done. and enjoy the other things that have gone along with it. You know, at TNS, you know, you've got to. It's a special club because it doesn't, you know. There's not many clubs across the world where you win more games than anything else. So I think, you know, it's something that I say to players, and especially players that have been here for a long time, because you go to another club and that whole concept changes, because you'll lose and you'll draw games, and you know, just make sure you enjoy them winning, and it doesn't become monotonous and expected, and you know, we just need to keep making sure that we win them games and enjoy winning games, which proves winning 27 games in a row. We've got a fantastic group of players and staff, and you know, I think the biggest thing is everyone's like-minded. Take away the football for a second, because that should be a gimme. We've got very good players, but without being like-minded people, then I think you can be as good as you want football-wise. I don't think it would work. You know, so from Mike and Ian and Helen, you know, down to myself, Scotty, Carl, Steve, Ed, Graham, Andy, yourself, class yourself as a member of staff, and then most importantly the players. You know, because at a football club, for me, the most important thing is the players. Obviously the fans are very important, but they, you know, they're the ones that are going out there on a match day and winning games, and we've got a fantastic group of people as well as players that give everything for this football club.
Well, Craig, we're on the same wavelength today, because that was my next question, that you have been a very successful manager indeed, of course, but it's more than just one man. There's a whole team of people behind you. Yeah,
without a doubt it is. It's, you know, it can't be done. One person can't do it, you know, and it typifies as well out on the pitch that, you know, the 11 can only be picked on one at one time to start the game, you know, and sometimes I'm leaving very, very good players out of the subs, off the subs bench, you know. But what people don't see, and what people don't see with staff and in players that maybe don't play every week, is that the competition they create on a day-to-day basis in training, which makes training as ferocious as what it is, in as high tempo and as competitive what it is, that's what brings out the quality play on a match day. And it goes along the same with the staff. You know, I'm obviously the front of it football wise, but you've got Scotty, Carl, Steve, Ed, sports scientist, Graham, goalkeeper coach, Andy, physio, Greg, assistant physio, Gord, who does the kit and looks after the players, yourself, Rev, that does the works alongside the players doing the media stuff, you know, and everyone. It's very cliche like, but it is like a family, you know, and you know. But on the flip side, it's good, because you know, because the coach and staff are all within an age group of being very, very young and dynamic and ambitious. You know, it's not always plain sailing. There's times when people fall out, you know, there's times when people, you know, but I want that. I want to create that. I don't want to create the environment of whatever I say goes. There obviously has to be some sort of structure behind it and a reason for it, but I don't mind Scott, Carl, Steve come to me going, well, no, I don't agree with you because of X, Y and Z, and if they can put a, you know, obviously I make the decision at the end of the day, but it, you know, you need these people, these trusted people and these integral people to bounce things off and see things that you don't see, because as I say, no one sees everything, you know, and you know, and on a match day as well, it's a little bit different, because you've got them three sat behind me watching the game from an elevated point of view, and as a manager you get wrapped up in it, and you know, we'll come in at half time, we have our 5-minute chat, like have everyone's point of view, let the players get on with it, and that's the way we work. It's an open house. It's not, you know, obviously at the end of the day, if I'm the manager and the final say goes with myself, but everything else along with it, they've got huge, you know, Scotty, Darlow, Evo got huge contributions in everything we do, you know, literally everything we do. We're very much a team.
So 5 years ago, January the 2nd, it all began. Looking back, would you have ever possibly have imagined in your wildest dreams the successes that you've had?
Possibly not, no. You know, you'd like to think you'd be successful, because when I come to TNS, I come to the best club in the league. I come to the best team in the league. Obviously, they were a full-time team at the time, and still are, and there was Neath who were full-time at the time, and Clonethley had just come off the back of being full-time. So, you know, it was, I was coming to somewhere that I wanted to be. I always wanted to get back involved with full-time football from getting another taste for Airbus, and but I think to the success we've had, then possibly not, no, because it was unprecedented beforehand from TNS history, and obviously I think Barry Town were the other team that dominated like we did, but I think we've won more consecutive titles than Barry Town now again. So to be the one to do it first, then obviously you're confident in your own ability, and and you're confident in what you've got, as in the resources you've got and the players you've got. But to be the leader in the best team in the Welsh Premier League, and to be the manager of that is it's something that you have to probably pinch yourself and think, wow, I should be very, very proud, and everyone at the club should be.
And no one has a crystal ball, of course.
Yep.
But what does the next 5 years hold for TNS and Craig Harrison?
Well, obviously, hopefully, success. You don't get anywhere without being successful. I think everybody who knows me knows I'm a very ambitious person. I'd like to manage at the highest level I can possibly be. If that's with TNS getting to the group stage of the Europa League or Champions League, then brilliant. If that's moving across to England to get an opportunity in the future, then that's great. But I'm, like I said, I'm an ambitious person. Had a decent young potential career cut short at 23 through no fault of my own. So that's what my burning desire is, to keep and manage and at the highest level I can. And that certainly hasn't been dampened. If anything, it's probably drove us on more, the success I've had, because you probably believe in yourself a little bit more, and you've been through experiences that that bring you success. Good people that can come along with success with you. So that is my burning desire. Mike knows that from day one he met me. He knew that I was ambitious. I think that was partly the reason why I got employed by the club in the first place. But on the flip side, you've got to be successful to get the opportunity and be ambitious. So if we keep being successful at TNS, and then I'm doing my job, and then we'll see what goes from there. But whatever, I want to be the best I can, first and foremost, for this football club, and then secondly for myself to progress if I can, and that may be Europa League group stages with TNS. That may be get an opportunity in England. But at this moment in time, things are very, very. I'm very, very happy at this moment in time, and I've got a great environment to work in with some great staff, great chairman, and like I said, most importantly, the set of players that are fantastic and could easily play at a high level.
Well, Craig Harrison, as always, it's a great pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for the insight into your life today. It's been incredible, and of course, it's been an amazing 5 years, and all the very best for the future as well.
No problem. Thanks, Rev. Anytime.